Hey everyone, I hope that you have enjoyed the conflict series. I know that conflict itself is not always fun to engage in or talk about, and sometimes, again, as we've said, some of us try to avoid it a lot, but it is an inevitable part of life, and so hopefully you have found the series very helpful, as well as the conflict guide that we rolled out this past Sunday. Again, we just wanted to provide a resource for you as you navigate this. If you didn't get one of these, we have some available at the church. You're welcome to pick one up anytime. Before we get into the recap questions, one quick announcement just to let you know about Easter. We know Easter services are going to be really full. They always are every year, especially on Sunday when many visitors or irregular attenders decide to show up. And so, that being said, it would really help us out a lot if many of you that are more regular attenders would consider attending one of our services on Saturday evening. That'll help free up some space for us on Sunday for visitors. So just wanted to put that out there for your group. If y'all can talk about that, and again, that would help us out a lot. The big ideas from this week, before we got into the conflict guide, were that you'll never be more God-like than when you forgive other people. At the same time, you'll never be more ungodlike than when you will not forgive others or when you refuse to forgive others. Scripture tells us that we should be imitators of God, and so forgiveness is one of the key ways that we can imitate God. The text this week out of Matthew 18, specifically, Jesus indicates to Peter that our forgiveness of others should indeed be limitless, much like God's forgiveness of us is. It is hypocritical and sinful for a Christian whose identity is rooted in being forgiven to refuse to forgive other people. That was kind of the big idea of the parable that Jesus told of the unforgiving servant. Because we are a people who regularly sin, then we must learn to be people who regularly practice forgiveness. Forgiveness must become the norm rather than the exception. And so, again, I know we walked through that parable very, very quickly, but those were kind of the big ideas there. The questions you can ask this week in your group really center around the conflict guide. So first of all, what was most interesting or encouraging to you this week? Number 2, what was most challenging or raised further questions for you? And then question number 3, so looking at the slippery slope diagram in the conflict guide, that's the diagram that's down here at the bottom. We had it up on the screen on Sunday. Looking at that, when you experience conflict with someone, what would you say your tendency is? So we're specifically talking about these headings across the top arch in black. Kind of look at those, identify, man, when it comes to conflict, what's my tendency? And then, looking at that, then you can kind of tell, do you tend to be more of a peace faker, a peace breaker, or a peacemaker? Take some time there and just discuss that a little bit as a group. Question number 4, so on the back of the conflict guide, there are 3 promises of forgiveness is what the heading is. Why do you think these 3 things are so important when it comes to resolving conflict and putting it behind you? And then which of these 3 do you think you have the hardest time actually doing? All right, and why? And why is that? Okay. And then question number 5, really just in light of this whole series and the conflict guide and everything, how can your small group maybe commit to continually make peace when there's conflict even within your group? We just thought that maybe in light of this series, inevitably there's going to be conflict even in small group. And so how can you as a group sort of commit to utilize these things and continually be peacemakers, maintaining unity within your own group? If you have time, you might take some time and just chat about that for a little bit. Action step was, again, to basically review, go over this conflict guide, sort of familiarize yourself with it so that when there's conflict in your life, you're prepared and ready to use that. And again, I hope y'all enjoyed the series. I hope that it's very, very useful. Again, we long to be a church that walks in unity with people. And in order to do that, we've got to be people that forgive and practice reconciliation and just handle conflict in the right way. And that's what we want to do. So thanks again, guys. We'll see you next Sunday.